Hi, everyone, and a warm welcome to this webinar hosted by us from Linnaeus University. We will talk today about how one can make a successful application, and we will also talk a bit about Linnaeus University. So a warm welcome to everyone, and obviously a happy new year and all of that also after the holidays. And I guess that a lot of you guys are also back from your vacations and holidays recently, as us here hosting this webinar. And with that said, who are we? Well, these are the people you will meet here today. It's me, Stefan Haglund, and I will moderate and make sure that we keep track of what we will talk about. And then with me, I have my colleagues Henrik, Caroline, and Sofia, which will also help you through mainly talking and answering the chat, but also talk a little bit later and further on here. So great to meet you all. And while you're waiting for us to get started, feel free to write in the chat who you are, where you're from, and what you're interested in. It's always interesting for us to see who you guys are listening at today's webinar so that we can also make sure that we specify and answer a little bit more questions related to you guys. So a warm welcome to everyone. Please write in the chat your name, where you're from, and what you're interested in. And as I said, and did mention just a minute ago, what will we talk about? Well, we will talk a little bit, obviously, about Linnaeus University, and I will give some short information about that. First of all, we will go through how one can make a successful application, and then by the end, we will have a Q&A session. And I will moderate, as I said, and will try to keep track of your questions and make sure that you get them answered by the end. And if you have questions during the webinar, feel free to write them in the Q&A part. As you might have observed, you can see that there is both a chat part and also a Q&A part. But if you have specific questions, write them in the Q&A part and we will answer them directly to you. In the chat, we will also share links for you guys during the webinar so that you can also find the other relevant information that we are referring to. We will also record this webinar and we will send it out afterwards to everybody who has signed up for the webinar. We will also share it online at our Meet Us page on lnu.se. So, with that said, I will start today's webinar, and I will start giving some information about Linnaeus University. For some of you, Linnaeus University might be new, and therefore it's good to give some short information about that first of all. And I can see that we have a lot of people also joining in here still, so I will try to take it a little bit slow here in the beginning so that we don't rush away too much. But starting about Linnaeus University. So, Linnaeus University, we are a public and comprehensive university, the sixth largest actually in Sweden. So broad, meaning that we have a little bit of everything, but also specified and also very specific programs that which I will show you further on. So sixth largest, that means around 40,000 students if we count heads. And that means obviously that we have a lot of students both studying on campus, but also on distance learning. So if looking at only on campus students, we are about 15,000 students at Linnaeus University. And out of them, about 1,800 are international students. A rather large part of the on the campus students are international students also. And we have around 2,200 employees divided between our two campuses. 200 programs, 50 of them are taught in English. So 40 at master level and 10 bachelor programs. And Linnaeus University, we became in 2010 through a merger between Växjö University and University of Kalmar. The name Linnaeus University comes from the famous botanist Carl von Linnaeus, or Carl Linnaeus in English. So that's where we have our origin, our name from, due to that he was born very close to where Linnaeus University had office and main campus. So two campuses, Växjö and Kalmar, as you can see here down in the southeast of Sweden. So Växjö just in the middle of the south of Sweden and Kalmar just next to the Baltic Sea. As I mentioned, Växjö is the little bit bigger campus. So 10,000 students out of the 15,000 full-time on-campus students study in Växjö and about 5,000 in Kalmar. When it comes to international airport, as you can see, Copenhagen down in Denmark is the closest international airport. And this is due to also, it's easier to travel through Copenhagen due to that it's easiest to go to Kalmar and Växjö by train from Copenhagen Airport. It runs a direct train every hour from Copenhagen Airport, both to Växjö and Kalmar, and it takes approximately 2.5 to 3.5 hours from Copenhagen to Växjö and Kalmar. So we usually recommend traveling that way, even if you obviously can also travel through Stockholm or Copenhagen, or Gothenburg, for example. So very short about Kalmar and Växjö. Well, Kalmar is modern but ancient as a city. It has around 70,000 inhabitants. And we have a city-integrated university location here with very new built facilities. Actually, from 2019, 2020, most of the facilities were introduced. And it's located, as you can see here, just down in the guest harbor on a very beautiful spot. So just close by, you also have a very medieval castle. And due to that, Kalmar as a city is very much of a tourist city. You can also see that there is a lot of people in the area, especially during summer. So this area increases a lot during summer. There's a lot of tourists, and that obviously influences. So the university are strong when it comes to research around tourism, but also in natural sciences, and we have a maritime academy here also in Kalmar. But very new built, beautiful location in Kalmar. Växjö, 90,000 inhabitants, small city also, such as Kalmar, but one of the fastest growing Swedish cities. This is actually due to the university, because it leads to a lot of people moving into the city and also stays after the studies. Very green area. So Växjö is basically located just as you saw down in this middle of south of Sweden, and it's totally located in the forest, you could say, surrounded by forest and lakes. So called the Green City in Europe once by BBC and Der Spiegel. And in Växjö, we have more of a US-style campus, meaning that all the university buildings and housing are located on one spot down on the south side of the city, basically. So on campus, you have about 5,000 to 6,000 students living just walking distance, 2-3 minutes from the university buildings. And Växjö is, as I said, also in a very heavily forested part of Småland, and that leads to that we are also very strong in forest and wood research on the Växjö campus. But it's a broad university, so basically you have a little bit of everything on both campuses. When it comes to quality, high quality education, Linnaeus University is ranked, obviously. So we are both in the Times Higher Education Impact ranking, but also in the Shanghai ranking. And as you can see in the Times Higher Education ranking, we are top 300 out of 1,115 universities when it comes to quality education. And in the Shanghai ranking, we were top 900 to 1,000 out of 18,000 universities. So high quality education at Linnaeus University. And you can see also that we stick out when it comes to climate action and also when it comes to tourism. So we are ranked in both these fields also in the Times Higher Education and Shanghai ranking. And we also accredited by the AACSB standards as one of the 6% business schools in the world. As I mentioned before, we are strong in internationalization, so we have almost 2,000 international students studying at campus, and that's obviously a big part of the full number. And this is due to that we have a lot of exchange and partner agreements. So as you can see, we have around 780 partner universities in more than 80 countries, and that means a lot of incoming students, but also outgoing students at Linnaeus University. And that gives possibilities for all students studying full programs also to both, I mean, obviously you are here as an international student, but this also gives you possibilities to go for exchange for one semester, especially for the bachelor programs. The largest student groups, well, it's mostly from the Asian countries. So you can see that we have a lot of students from Pakistan, China, India, Iran, for example, Japan, but also obviously the bigger countries in Europe, such as Germany, France, Netherlands, for example, and then US, obviously. So a big mixture, and we have more than 130 nationalities actually studying at campus. And when it comes to education, we are very broad. We have programs within a lot of different fields. As I mentioned, before, we have about 40 programs at master level and 10 bachelor programs taught in English. And broadness, you can see here on bachelor level, you have business economics, design, computer science, mathematics, social science. And in master programs, we basically cover all areas, having around 40 programs. Just mentioning very shortly about academic studies in Sweden, because it can be good to know some basics. One semester of full-time studies in Sweden is actually 30 credits, and that corresponds towards the semester time, which is 20 weeks. So that basically means that during 1 week in Sweden, you study 1.5 credits full-time. And that means that the bachelor program also is 180 credits due to that it's a 3-year education. So that means 6 semesters, 30 credits each semester, and that obviously becomes 180 credits. Master programs are 2 years, 120 credits, but can in a lot of cases also be finished after 1 year, and that means 60 credits. In Sweden also, we have a very flexible education system, and that means that a lot of students is actually also studying freestanding courses, building their own degrees, puzzling together semester by semester. This is a bit more tricky for international students, but I just want to mention that this is actually a possibility. So as a student being here, if you come from some background where you have unfinished studies or you want to change your studies, it's most likely possible to find some kind of solution for you. And then you can do that as a freestanding course studying student, basically. So the academic culture is also very informal. Expect to have closeness to your teachers, expect to ask questions during lectures. You are basically encouraged to be active and be part of the lectures in Sweden. One course at a time, well, that's the normal way we do things here. So it's not that you have like all courses at the same time and then examination period by the end of the semester. Instead, the usual concept is that you study one course during 5 weeks, and then you have small examinations during the course, and then a bigger one by the end. And then you start a new course, 5 weeks, 7.5 credits, same setup. Or in some cases, you might do 2 courses at the same time. Most likely you do that on the Faculty of Technology, for example, meaning that you do 15 credit courses half time, so to say, during the 2 of them during the full semester. And then you have smaller exams during the full course. So very flexible system, meaning with that is that it's few lectures that is also obligatory. It's basically used by yourselves that decide how much you want to take part of the lectures and how you want to plan your studies. Because it's a lot of more self-independent planning for your studies and pressure on yourself to make sure that you achieve things. But that's actually good also because that makes you to learn more about it. Group work, well, group work is an important part also, and that is something you will study during your studies due to that is an important examination part in Sweden. So expect to learn as much as from your peers as from your teachers. I'm not going to go through what programs we offer, but I will just very quickly show you the bachelor programs I've talked about. As you can see here, we have a broadness in that taught in English. And then in master level, you can find even more here. It's a lot of different programs. And very shortly now summing up about Linnaeus University. Well, why should one choose Linnaeus University? Well, we are very proud to say that we have very nice study environments where you will be given the chance to study in very new built and modern facilities. When we compare ourselves with other universities, we are always top ranked when it comes to facilities. And that is actually making a good possibility for you as a student to concentrate on your studies. Informal teaching style, well, we have a study environment that stimulates curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking, and that means that you have a closeness to your teachers, and that is something that all students studying in Sweden will have the benefit of and will be given the chance to concentrate on your studies. So good quality of life also. Both Växjö and Kalmar are very small cities, and that means that it's a very easy and secure life and a bit cheaper when it comes to studies and living in these cities. So both Kalmar and Växjö, beautiful and nice cities. Quality education, as you saw before, Linnaeus University are ranked both in the Times Higher Education and the Shanghai ranking, also accredited by the AACSB. So high standard, and Sweden as a country is actually one of the biggest spender when it comes to public money into education, higher education. So creativity, innovation, sustainability, equality, and diversity are also very strong Swedish values that you will learn about whatever you study in Sweden. So with that said, let's move on to how to make an application. And obviously there are some basic things that you first of all should know when making an application in Sweden. Well, first of all applications in Sweden to Linnaeus University are done through universityadmissions.se. So the only place where you can make an application is obviously through this web page. I will go through some basics now first, but then by the end, I also want to show some things just to make sure that you, in the best way, find your information. So we'll start with some basic. So everything, all applications, always through universityadmissions.se. And the application deadline for the upcoming autumn semester 2026 is 15th of January. So basically that's the date when you should have have submitted your application. And then after that, last day to support your application and pay your application fee is 2nd of February. And this is due to that the 1st of February is a Sunday, and that means that the first weekday after that is 2nd of February, a Monday, and then you can support your documents and pay application fee at latest this date. And then the admission result is published for master 26th of March and for bachelor 31st of March. One thing I though want to encourage you is that make your application the sooner the better. It's not always good to be late in making an application, because the reviewing by your application is done basically date by date since your application was complete. And that means that the earlier you make your application and support your documents, the quicker you will be evaluated. So some documents, for example, if you are missing some documents, it's good to have an early review in order to make sure that you have the chance to support your application. And as I mentioned, university admission, as you can see here, is the application hub where you should make your application. And obviously, you can just search in the search part here on the middle of the page after the program you're interested in. But in the next stage, you can also filter even more. I also want to mention the menu. I will show you a little bit later, because in the menu you find a lot of helpful information also. And it's good to know, for example, that it's also information, specific information for each country regarding what documents that should be supported for each country, depending on where you have done your previous education. And also, as you can see, you have specific information for master studies, bachelor studies, and you have also dates and deadlines. So there's a lot of relevant and specific information that I'm going to click you through a little bit later on. But first important, of course, is to find your programs. And there's different ways to do that. As I already mentioned, you can either direct free text search in the search field, but you can also filter yourself forward. As you also can see here, you can filter on a lot of different things. You can, for example, filter on program level, course level, but you can also filter on university, subject, if it's distance, if it's on campus. So there's a lot of opportunities to filter to find your programs. And I just want to underline even once more that all programs, all courses offered in all of Sweden are to be found here. So basically, if something is taught in English, you will find it here. So it's the easiest way to filter yourself forward is to go this way. And when you are on this page also and you find the alternatives, you can click yourself forward to the program specific page. For example, as you can see in the picture here, you can just click up the read more part, and then you will also find links to the university webpage where you find more information about the particular program. You can also find the program syllabus if you click yourself forward. So this is one way to find your program course, and you do it then through universityadmissions.se. Another way of doing it is obviously going direct to the university webpage. So in this case, if you're interested in Linnaeus University, which we obviously hope that you are, then you can check out lnu.se under education, and then you just check search program or course, and then you find a page where you can also filter or free text search. So for example, if you know what the program is that you are looking for, you basically search for it on the search field, and then you will find it. Or you can filter yourself forward through field of interest or other parts and find it that way. And for example, filtering just on the autumn 2026 and program or master, well, then you have a list of all the master programs at Linnaeus University, given the autumn 2026. So 2 different opportunities to find the program you're interested in, either through university admissions or directly at Linnaeus University webpage. And then just some things here in the beginning also to remind you of that when you have like find the programs that you're interested in. I will show you later on how to click them in and how to make an application. You can obviously do on different amount of applications. So for master level, you can apply for 4 different programs, and for bachelor level, it's 8 different programs that you can apply for. And when you have done that and you have sent in your application, the next stage is basically to provide your application documents. I'm going to show you a little bit more about this also later on. And the important part in this is obviously to make sure that you also look into what you need to submit. So this depends on whether you're a bachelor or master applicant, and there are different instructions regarding that for each of this level. The best part, I would say, is to search on your country. So look at the country instructions, and that I will show you also how you do. Basically, you go to the menu and then you search on your country, and then you will see country instructions for both bachelor level and master level, depending on what you're applying for. So I'm going to show you also how that looks. It also tells how your documents should be attested or issued. It mentioned whether it should be some certain signature or which awarding institution or level at the institution that should award the documents. It also tells regarding how you can submit your documents. Most students can upload everything online. Nowadays, it's a totally online-based application, and also most students can also upload all documents directly to the account, but some countries still needs to send it in by postal service, and then it's important that you check out so that you are not you are not from a country which has this demand on it. There is also information about final year of your bachelor studies. So, for example, a lot of students are planning well in advance, and also even if you are in your ongoing studies, you might apply. And then there are instructions regarding what to upload if you are on the last year, because you need to send in also information about, for example, what courses you're studying during your last year and what you will finish during your last year. So that is important also. So check out that on the final year bachelor studies instructions. I also want to give some information about entry requirements, because this is a part which is very important to read about, both on the program's specific page, but also on the university admission, where they describe a little bit more about the general entry requirement, because there is obviously entry requirements that needs to be fulfilled in order to even consider applying. I mean, for bachelor level, for example, you need to have finished a high school diploma, upper senior secondary education, and that is something that you need to support in all cases, basically, when applying for a bachelor level, but also good to support when you're applying for master level, because it might show your English. But remember that for bachelor level, general entry requirements, high school diploma, upper secondary education diploma, always need to be supported. For master level, you need to obviously upload your bachelor degree, due to that the bachelor degree is what is the general entry requirements to apply for master level. This differs also a little bit between different countries, because in some countries we might demand that you have a 4-year degree. For example, if you're applying from India, then you need to have a 4-year degree. And this is something you can also search on for your particular country to see what's equivalent to the general entry requirements on master level. But even on bachelor level, you can also find this kind of instructions. English requirements, important part. Some students, you might meet your English requirements through the studies you've done on bachelor or high school level. And therefore, it's important to always upload both these documents if you have. Because it might be that you have a certain level proven in your high school diploma, and therefore you don't need to take any kind of tests or something like that. That could be if you are a student from, let's say, Sri Lanka, for example. If you've done your advanced level English, then you have that from your upper secondary education general certificate from advanced level, and then it's important to support that also, even if you're applying for a master level program. So this differs from country to country also. If you do not have a document proving your English ability, I mean from bachelor level or high school level, then it might be that you need to take a test, and then most commonly we point towards IELTS or TOEFL. So IELTS 6.5, TOEFL 90, but there is also Pearson 62, I think is the level needed for that, can be supported. And in some cases, it can be from your academic studies. Country instructions, as I already mentioned, you can find what's equivalent to different level. You can find information about attestation. You can also find information regarding if you need to upload or you can need to send in by postal service. And then also I will mention further on here now a little bit about the specific entry requirement, because the things I have gone through now are rather basic. I mean, basic general entry requirements and English. Everybody basically need to prove in that, no matter what program you apply for, bachelor or master. And then the next stage from that is the specific entry requirement, which is mentioned at each program page. And then it might be extra requirements. And I will show you a little bit further on here about that also and talk about that. So we can do that directly, actually. So specific entry requirements, this is something that you should look into at the specific program page. So when you have, for example, search and filtered and found the programs you're interested in, click the program page in the read more part, look at the entry requirements and read what's demanded. As you can see in these examples here, for example, you can see general entry requirements for second cycle studies, and that, as I already described, for second cycle, that means master level. So that means basically that we demand that you have a bachelor degree. And then apart from that, the specific requirement in this example here is that you have a degree in civil engineering, architectural engineering, and also that you have some specific courses, 7.5 credits in structured mechanics or mechanics of materials, and also mathematics corresponding to calculus, vector geometry, linear algebra, for example. So as you can see here, we demand a bachelor degree and we demand the specific requirements, which is for a program which is very specific. So some of the degrees might have very broad requirements, specific requirements, and some might have a very narrow specific requirement. So the second example here that I also show on this page is, as you can see here, general requirements for studies at the second cycle and specific requirements 1 to 90 credits, of which at least 15 credits are an independent project in media and communication, journalism, political science, or similar subject. Such a description means that basically you need to have a bachelor degree, and that bachelor degree should contain of a 90 credit major, and that major is like full-time studies 3 semesters in a certain subject, and that certain subject should be, for example, media communication, journalism, political science, or something similar. And then it should also be a big individual independent project as part of the studies. So this is also specifying very much, as you can see here. It's not as specific as the previous example, but it demands that you have a certain direction, broadness here when it comes towards media communication, political science, in order to study this particular program. And then the third example, as you can see, regarding specific requirements, is from a bachelor program, basically. And then we demand general entry requirements, which is like a finished high school, upper secondary education, and then certain level of mathematics is demanded for this particular program. This might be a little bit more tricky to find in the country instructions. But for this kind of program, I can just mention that this would be for like a mathematics program. And that obviously demands that you have studied a little bit more mathematics from your high school diploma. So if you come from like a humanities, social science part, it might be that you don't have enough of mathematics from such a program. But if you come from a natural science specialization, most likely you have enough of mathematics. Moving on a little bit here to selections, because now I pointed out what the requirements demand, and then it might be that we also demand certain documents or documentation for the selections. Starting just a little bit about the selections for batch level. So for this example here, as you see, for the selections, it's different parts basically in the bachelor level. You can say that the most relevant for you guys is the merit rating from upper secondary education, and that's mainly how we do the selection on the bachelor level. And the highest scale in Sweden is 22.5. And that basically means that we take your merit rating from your upper secondary education, high school diploma, and convert it to our Swedish scale. And then we basically do a selection based on that the ones with the highest merit ratings are the ones that firstly will be admitted. And the lower you have, the less chance you have to being admitted. But that's usually we do the selection. So basically we have 50 places. We will give you merit rating and then admit the ones with the 50 best merit rating, basically. It's also mentioned aptitude test here, but actually aptitude test is something that is mainly for Swedish students, because that's a test only given in Sweden and in Swedish. The thing is that why I mention it is that we are regulated that we have to do selection based on it. So that means that if somebody is applying here and have done the aptitude test in Swedish, then you have a very good chance of being admitted, because we're regulated. But due to that, very few have done it in this admission round. Main places go for selection based on upper secondary education, high school diploma. Third alternative here also that we in some cases have as a selection is individual assessment, and then it's hard to explain because it mostly then are done based on motivation letter in combination with the merit rating from upper secondary education. It could also be for let's say a design program or such a program, and then it might be also a portfolio demand that you should upload. And then it might be that we mainly look at the portfolio. So these are the most common selection techniques basically we use for bachelor. If we look at master level, it differs a bit here. And you can say that we do individual assessment. It's the most common one, together with higher education credit, basically. And higher education credits is basically that we do a merit rating based on amount of credits you have, basically. So if you have done, like, as Caroline wrote here now in the chat, if you've done a bachelor degree, you will get 180 credits, and that's the most common, obviously. If you have more studies, it might be that you get some extra credits. We can go through that a little bit more in the Q&A part at the end. And then most common is that we do also individual assessment. Individual assessment would be that we look at your statement of purpose, motivation letter, CV, and obviously also education, the previous bachelor, and the merit rating, the GPA from that. So it's a combination of mixture, and it's hard to describe what is most important because this differs from program to program. But let's say that usually I would say that most important in these cases is the previous education and the GPA from that. And then they look at statement of purpose, how well you have explained why you are a good student for the particular program, and also the CV, if there is something extra in the CV that could give you extra points, so to say, in the assessment, or that makes you as a very good student for this particular program. And if it's a design program, for example, then they will also demand that you upload a portfolio. Scholarships, we get questions obviously about also, and we offer scholarships. The two big scholarship programs we have at Linnaeus University is the Linnaeus University Scholarship Program and the IKEA and Södra Scholarship. So the Linnaeus University Scholarship Program is basically for all our programs at master levels. But it's only for students applying for Linnaeus University as first priority. So in order to be considered or get the chance basically to apply for this scholarship, you need to put Linnaeus University as your first priority in your application at universityadmissions.se. And if you do, we will send you the application procedure by email. And that will be done in the beginning of February. And then you have about 10 days on you to make a scholarship application. And this scholarship, it would cover 75% of the tuition fee. So then you would only pay 25% of the tuition fee. And this scholarship program is for all programs on master level at Linnaeus University. The second scholarship program at Linnaeus University, as I described, is the IKEA and Södra Scholarship. It's only for programs within innovation and forestry, so only for that programs, and this is due to that they are linked to a collaboration which we have with IKEA and Södra, basically, and that means that IKEA and Södra are supporting this particular scholarship. And this is a very good scholarship, rare in that sense. It's one for each program specialization at the innovation program and one for the forestry program. And it gives full coverage of tuition fees and living cost. So it's a very good scholarship, I would say. And it's very rare, so to say, also. And it's important that you apply for any of these programs, as I said, innovation or forestry, as your first priority. And then you will have the chance to apply for this also. And it will be sent out to these students that has chosen this program as first priority in the same way as for the Linnaeus University Scholarship Program, beginning of February. Swedish Institute Scholarship Programs is also something I recommend you all to look at. For some of our programs, you can apply for these particular programs if you are from certain countries. The full list of the programs you can apply for this scholarship program and what countries, I refer you to the Swedish Institute webpage. You can go through lnu.se webpage also, the one we have shared regarding scholarship, and then you can click yourself forward to the Swedish Institute webpage. Lastly, we also mention here scholarship for current student, and this is actually the same scholarship program as Linnaeus University Scholarship program. It's just that this is something that we offer for students in ongoing studies. So if you, for example, do not get a scholarship when applying as a new student for Linnaeus University, then you can always apply from the second year or third year, because for the current student scholarship, it's okay for students also applying for, studying at bachelor level to apply for this. Because when looking at this scholarship and who will get it and not, we mainly look at what you have achieved during your first and or second year at Linnaeus University. So the main criteria for this scholarship program are the previous studies at Linnaeus University. For the other Linnaeus University scholarship program, the IKEA and Södra scholarship, we obviously mainly will look at your GPA from your previous studies, but also at the motivation letter, which you will send in, basically. So very important to look into the questions that are sent out together with the scholarship application. So that was that regarding that. Just before wrapping up here a little bit with Q&A part, and also I'm going to show you a little bit more directly from the web how you do some of these things I've already described. I want to give you some useful links. So lnu.se you already seen, obviously, but you also have our inspirational portal, lnu.se/study. It's a good place to look at. An application portal, I also want to repeat, universityadmissions.se. If you want to find more general information about studies in Sweden, you can do so at studyinsweden.se. And also general contact information at Linnaeus University, then it's study@lnu.se. And if you have very admission-related questions, you can ask them directly to the admissions office, where you will get in contact with Caroline, for example, at admission@lnu.se. You can also chat with our students at lnu.se/en/chat, and then you can chat directly with students for some particular programs. I think I will end my sharing right there, Henrik, and let's go to some questions. And I will also prepare and show a little bit, but let's start with some questions, Henrik, while I'm preparing and showing at university admission.
Yes, thank you very much, Stefan. They've been coming in quite a number of questions, and a lot of them are regarding admission and application. Of course, it's that time of the year, so many people is asking about that. And I think that what I've seen a few times in different kinds of question, but the question is basically the same, and I will turn to Caroline maybe, who is the expert on this. And there's many students that is asking if they have uploaded documents before or made an application before. Do they need to upload the documents again, and can they change it if they want to send in new documents?
If you have already created an account on university admissions and uploaded your documents in a previous application round, you do not need to upload the same documents again as long as you are using the same account. So if you log into your old account, if you apply again, you just submit new documents if you need for the program you're applying for in this specific round. For instance, if you need to submit a statement of purpose or a CV for this particular program, then you can upload it under educational documents in your account. Otherwise, we have access to the same documents as before. And you can unfortunately not delete the documents you've uploaded, and you cannot edit them either. So if you need to make a correction or you want to upload a new version of a previously submitted document, you just need to upload it again. But the other documents, make sure to upload just once, because there are a lot of documents in most applications already, so we don't need twice the same.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And there's also some people asking about the CV. Do you need to upload a CV?
It's not mandatory. Usually you can find it on the program page. It says if you need to submit a statement of purpose or a CV or references, but a statement of purpose is quite common. And sometimes they even ask for a CV in connection to the statement of purpose. But if you want to upload a CV, even if you don't find information regarding this, or if you're unsure about if you need to submit it, you can upload a CV as well. It doesn't hurt. It's okay.
Yeah, that's good. Then we also have a question also regarding the documents that they need to send in. And I think this is someone who needs to send it in by post. Where do we send our transcripts to?
Make sure to check the official address on university admissions. There is a contact page. If you check your country instructions, I was busy writing here. I don't know if Stefan showed it previously.
Yes.
But the country instruction page is very important. You can see if you need to document your background in a specific way, and also how to send your documents, if you can just upload them or send them by post. And you can also find the address on the university admissions page.
Yeah, I can show actually directly here now since we got that question now. So basically, as you all can see now in the screen here, you have the university admissions.se webpage. So basically here in the menu, the best way is actually to just search on your particular country where you're from, like for example, Nigeria, and then you just search, and then you see here you get two links. And that's the same for all countries. So you have bachelor admission, master admission. So for example, if you are from Nigeria applying for master, then you find all the relevant information here, meeting the general entry requirements, meeting the English requirement,
I
general
don't I
document.
don't think we're
No,
seeing
Stefan.
what you're seeing, Stefan.
Yeah, I've tried to share again. The screen is still
Aha.
just on the start page of university admissions.
Okay, that's strange. That's strange. That's strange. Let's see here then. Let's end that sharing and
Seems like Stefan froze a little
We
bit.
lost Stefan.
Yeah, we lost him. So then we can take some other questions and
Yes.
Q&As while we're waiting for him to, yeah, to get back here. Then we have a question regarding insurance, and I can answer that one. If you're admitted to a one-year program and you're a fee-paying student, then the insurance is covered in the tuition fee. So when you're paying, you will have an insurance from the university that we are giving to you. And that insurance covers medical costs and emergencies from if you have any medical issues, but it doesn't cover anything else, like if you lose your things or something breaks. So that you might need to buy an insurance if you want to have one instead, an extra for that. But it covers 24/7 during your time here as a student. And if you're studying longer than 1 year, you don't need an insurance because for students studying longer than 1 year, they can get a Swedish ID number, and by that you can go to the hospital and just like a Swede get the costs covered by the government here in Sweden. And then we have then we had some questions regarding from students from EU, and there were some questions on paying the tuition, paying the application fee. And Caroline, could you maybe just explain how it works with paying the application fee if you're from a European Union country?
If you're from a European country or EU country, you do not need to pay an application fee. In that case, you need to upload a copy of your ID showing that you are an EU citizen, and you will be exempted from paying fees once university admissions have assessed your ID document and updated your status. So only students from outside of the EU need to pay the application fee for their application to be processed.
Yeah, that's good. Then we have another question here on do you give top priority to first choice of acceptance, like the ones that's chosen us as the first priority?
No, it doesn't give you a higher merit rating or something like this because you chose the program as your first priority. It's just a way of offering you the program that you are most interested in. So it's just a tool for the selection process. It doesn't really help. Well, it doesn't help in the selection that you are applying as number one for this particular program. So your merit rating will only be based on your previous studies or the individual assessment that is outlined for this particular program, such as portfolio or other experience that is assessed.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Uh, Good to know. We also have a question here on application waiver for PhD application. And PhD application is not through university admissions, and it doesn't include a application fee. PhD in Sweden is more like a job, so you apply for it more like a job position, and that means that there is no application fee at all for PhD applications. Then we have a question here. If I have followed my bachelor in English medium, does it fulfill the English 6 or equivalent requirement, which is asked for by the master I'm going to apply? Or should I complete the English test?
Well, it depends on your country of study. So again, what Stefan was trying to show, the country instructions, is a very good page. But I think he showed it previously. And if you go to university admissions, you can look up your country of study. Is this where
Now
we
I'm
are?
actually
Yes.
back. So
Yeah.
maybe this, can you see the correct page now? Hi, everybody again.
Yes.
Seems like Teams is making fool of me again.
Yeah,
So
so
can you
when you
see?
check the
Yeah,
country instructions, you can find also the language requirements. So you can see if your country of studies can give you the required English requirement as well.
exactly.
But
As
yeah, I would say
I've
that
showed here.
yeah, most applicants would need to provide a separate English test, but you can sometimes meet the requirements with your either upper secondary school studies or academic university level studies.
Yeah, as the case here. I think you see the page now. This
Yes.
was for Nigeria. So basically, I search here. Now you see that, and then for somebody at master level, and then you see exactly here the general requirement, and then as Caroline talked about, the English requirement. For Nigeria, for example, it says here that if you have O-level pass result in English, then it's enough. But then, even if you're applying for master level, it's important that you upload these documents. So we recommend everybody to upload that, even if you're applying for a master level, because it might be that you get something regarding English, for example, from that document. But then you also have descriptions regarding generally what's demanded from that particular country, and also if you need to send them in by post or not. And as you can see here, for Nigeria, for example, it should be emailed in directly from the university when it comes to the transcripts, and then it's sent directly to this email address from the university. And I don't know whether you answered before, Caroline, but they asked about the address to supporting documents.
Yeah, we
You sorted
we
that out.
changed the subject.
Yep. You have changed the subject several times since then, I guess. Yeah. But you find the addresses and everything you need here also. Yeah. But feel free, Henrik. You are in charge of this now when it comes to the questions.
Yeah, that's good. We also have a question here. Oh, I see that you already answered it, Caroline, but maybe you can answer it again. And this is once my application is marked qualified in universityadmissions.se, I do not have to do anything further until the admission results are announced, correct?
Yes, if you're qualified, that means that we have processed your application and found you to meet all the requirements. So basically, you just have to wait for the selection results. There's nothing missing in your application.
Yeah, that's good. So are you qualified? Then it's very good. Let's see if there is anything here. I can see that there is some more specific questions regarding your like the student specific application, and I would say that it's better to email admissions@lnu.se to get the answer there than that we take it up for everyone here. But for example, there is someone asking, is a bachelor degree in accounting eligible for applying to business engineering? I don't know which program business engineering he's talking about, but the question is based, I'm guessing if it's possible to change from accounting in this case to engineering.
Business engineering is not a program specific. Yeah, I don't know which program you're referring to, but
Yeah.
usually when you have studies in business, then you're not automatically qualified for engineering programs and the other way around. If your background is in engineering, then you will not meet the requirements for the business programs. And if you've studied accounting, then you would not be qualified for engineering program. But business engineering is not specifically Linnaeus University program.
We
So
do not
just
have
make
that
sure
much
to,
broad
yeah.
masters as you Caroline described here. So basically, if you usually have to follow kind of the area or discipline that you've been in, like in business, accounting is, as Caroline said, that is business administration in our eyes, and that means that you are more likely to find a program within business. We do not have this kind of MBA or broad masters where you can come from a different discipline totally. There is a few programs that are very broad, but not that ones.
Yeah, that's good. And then we have some questions regarding the English again. And please check if you're studied your completely bachelor or your upper secondary school in English, look at the country-specific instructions on university admissions, and then you can see if you meet the requirements only by your earlier studies or not. So we have recorded this webinar as well, so you can see afterwards if it's something that you missed on how to check the English level. And then we have a question here. Do you consider unofficial transcripts for application purposes? This is because my school may delay sending official transcripts directly from my school before the application deadline.
That's also depending on the country of study, I would say. Some countries we could accept an official transcript for a conditional status while waiting for the official ones. And some other countries we would not accept it at all. So make sure to check the country instructions and submit the documents you do have access to by the deadline. It's always better to submit something than nothing, so you have documents on time, and university admissions will process them and inform you correctly of what is possibly missing in that case.
Yeah, then we have, if the application status says qualified, what is the next step? from the admission website?
Yes, the next step is to wait for the selection results, basically. I understand that it's a long time to wait, and if you're already qualified, you want to know if you can be admitted as well. But the selection is done for all the programs in all the universities at the same time, so everyone will receive their results at the same time. So you can just patiently wait for your qualified status to turn into hopefully an admission.
Yeah. And another status here, if the status is submitted, does it mean that some documents are missing?
Submitted in the documents or submitted in the application? Because if your application says submitted, it means that we have received it, but we haven't processed it. So basically, we don't know yet if anything is missing. And once university admissions start processing the documents you've submitted, they will inform you if you need to submit more documents. Submitted can also be the status of the documents you have uploaded. If the documents are followed by submitted, it means that we have received the documents you uploaded as well. So it's like a confirmation that we have received either your application or the documents you uploaded.
That's good. Caroline, you've been talking a lot now, so I will send a question to Stefan instead and let you rest a little bit. And I think that maybe you can tell a little bit now, but also promote next week's webinar, because someone here is asking about scholarship and didn't have an academic excellence. Can I still make a strong motivation letter to get a scholarship?
Well, one can say that scholarship application is obviously always hard. I mean, we usually have around 300 applicants for scholarship, and maybe 5% or something like that will get the scholarship by the end of the day. So very hard competition, and obviously you need to have a strong GPA, because that's the main thing that we look at. GPA, that grade point average from your university education. And then obviously we look a little bit at English level. So for example, even if you are exempted regarding English due to that you studied English in English, or you have it from your high school diploma, we recommend you to take a test if you're applying for a scholarship, because a test proves whether you have a high level of English or a medium level of English. I mean, 6.5 is basically what gives eligibility from IELTS. But if you would have, let's say, 8.0, then obviously that strengthens your case when it comes to a scholarship application also. So it's good to prove what you can prove by tests or GPA or such things. So GPA most important, English important, but then also motivation letter. Make sure to write something about why you as a person should be considered for a scholarship. What makes you unique? What makes you being a person that will achieve good in Sweden? Do you have some like specific extra knowledge about studies in Sweden regarding the subject you will study at the program? Or is there other things on your CV that we should consider that you have been doing that could give you extra extra level for your studies, basically? So point that out in the motivation letter. But most important is obviously GPA from education.
Yeah, and I also see that Sophia put in the chat here that the next webinar is called Last Day to Apply and Scholarships. So you can sign up now already if you want to know more about the scholarships and how to make that application.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I as you tried to point it out for me, Henrik, but I forgot to mention it. So good, Sophia, that you remember this.
Yeah. We have a question from Florence here about how many weeks does the admission decision take?
So, yeah, Caroline, as I mentioned before, the deadlines, dates, we will give the notification of selection result by the end of March. So 26th of March for for master, and 31st of March for bachelor. So that basically when you will be notified. So for you guys that has got qualified, be glad for that, but you will not get to know until in March whether you've been accepted or not. Admitted will be the status if you're admitted, basically. So end of March, you will know.
Yeah, good. We had a question up here as well on is it easy to find a part-time job alongside university studies? I would recommend you to check that out because just before Christmas we had a webinar focusing on that, and I put a link here in the chat where you can, if you scroll down on our Meetups page, a bit down on that page, you will find old webinars, and there you can find a webinar with the student session where students are talking about how it is to study here at the university, and they are talking about how it is to find a job, part-time job during your studies here at the university. So check out that link in that webinar and you can learn a lot about how it is to finding a job here during your studies. Let's see. I think that we've answered most of the questions so far. Oh, here we have one. How many places are available in the master's program? And is there any approximate data on level of competition, such as how many applicants there are per place?
Well, there is there is a way to see how many were admitted in the previous years, but there is no information on how many seats will be available for the programs you're applying for in these rounds now. We used to have this information available, but now it's not open information at the moment. So in our international rounds, I would say that most qualified applicants can be offered a seat. We have a few programs where the competition is tougher and you can end up on the waiting list. But yeah, if you are qualified, you have a good chance of being admitted, and just wait for your selection results.
Yeah, and one can say that proportionality based, it's more applications towards the business programs. So it's harder competition on some of the business programs. But on the other side, they also generally have more places compared to some other programs. So that means that you have good chance of being admitted there. But the most popular ones where we had most applications for is the international business and international affairs, I think, are the ones with the most applicants, but they are also rather big when it comes to places. And classes differ a lot, as Caroline mentioned. I mean, for example, in chemistry or such places, we might have like 3 to 5 students, very small programs. So in the natural sciences, because they are usually linked to the research level. But if you go to business programs in master level, it might be places around 40 students or something like that. So the biggest classes are around that. And then if you look at the bachelor programs, it can be even bigger classes, like 50, 60 students. But then it's more applicants also for business, a little bit less for natural sciences, or much less for natural sciences, so for rare degrees, so to say.
Yeah, and then we had a question here on attendance in class. Do master programs have the same flexible approach to lecture attendance as bachelor programs? Are workshops and seminars mandatory while lectures are more optional?
Yeah, I would say that was a good description. You can say that lectures are almost never mandatory that you have to be there. It's up to yourself. But if you have some small like if it's a seminar where you will go through a book that you are supposed to have read, then it's going to be mandatory. You might have group assignments, and then it's obviously not like mandatory how you do things. It's up to your group, but you have a certain lecture where you will probably show up what you have done, and then that's going to be mandatory. Written exams, obviously, they are mandatory in order to get the degree, or sorry, the grade for the certain course, or the result. So it differs, but lectures usually not mandatory, but strongly recommended to be at, because they tell you what the teacher think is important in the particular course, and he might give you extra tips regarding what will come on the examination or such a thing. So yeah, that's how one can describe it.
Yeah, okay, good. And Stefan, I think you get to answer the last question I can find here, because it's related to mostly to scholarship, I think, but maybe also to getting admission. To what extent do professional certification and the practical experience strengthen a scholarship application? And then it's a little bit of an explanation about this student's case, but as an example, this one has a supply chain analyst certification from ISCEA.
I would say that that's not something we look at as something like the main thing. The main thing will still be your GPA, but this it would be like an extra activity, something extra from your CV that is good. But expect it not to be the thing that decides by the end of the day. GPA is much more important.
Yeah. Good. Thank you very much. I think that was most of the questions. If not, any one of you have seen any questions that I've missed?
No, I
Oh, yeah.
think that you covered most of it here. Yeah. But let's.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
they came in one last here.
Yep.
Should I submit a motivation letter always, although it's not asked in the program specifically?
No, it's not necessary. If you don't need it for the program, you don't need to submit a letter. It's basically just to present yourself. If it's not connected to your program and you submit a general letter, it will not be taken into account.
Exactly. And let me then wrap up and thank everybody for being part of it, and especially obviously Caroline from admission office, and Henrik and Sofia also being part of this, and everybody of you attending also. Looking forward to see your applications and meeting you at Linnaeus University in the coming year here. Coming semester. Because we have passed now until and are on 2026 basically. But before that, I want to remind everybody about our upcoming webinar where we will even more focus on the application related things. Last date to apply and scholarship, and that will be on the 12th of January 2026, obviously, so that's next week, and it's going to be at 1 o'clock until 1:30, and then we will go through even more and answer questions. Also, I want to remind you all that you are most welcome to follow us on social media. So you can do so through Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And then you will get even more relevant information about Linnaeus University. And see a lot of material from our students that are sharing things with you. And beside that, basically the last word from me would be just thank you for being part of this. And I hope to see you in a coming webinar, and I hope to see you making an application to Linnaeus University. Thanks from our side, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.